Updog, my man, good Fort Mac guy, Mr. PTO. Fuck, you looked good with that Oilers jersey with that picture. You look good.
It's heartbreaking. I can't.
If you just wouldn't hurt, if you wouldn't hurt your knee dancing on that yacht in Europe, you might.
Yeah, I know. No, listen, man, it's heartbreaking. I've been an Oiler fan my whole life. First time I ever, stepped foot in an NHL rink was to, watch Bill Ranford and Gretzky and Messier and Curry and all these guys play, and it would have been a dream come true. And now I'm stuck on the fence of just watching them and cheering them on from a distance and having a podcast and a platform to talk about them. And I was using just that over the weekend.
Yeah, so obviously everyone knows the news. Jay Woodcroft and Dave Manson, who I love Dave Manson. I love the way he played. I love his son's game, Josh Manson. I would love to have played for Dave Manson. I thought after that Oilers game against the Sharks that, if I was the GM, which I'm not, and I don't need to tell Kenny Holland how to do his job, but I would have probably fired him right then. They let him finish off the road trip. They had a big win in Seattle, then fired him. With Jay Woodcroft, I don't know him. You hear what Connor said about him and how he loved him and was shocked that all this happened, and we can get in that as well, Updog. I just seen, and maybe it happens with everyone, right? You get in the NHL and, you start doing interviews and, he just seemed to get more and more like, I said a year ago, his hair got a little more slicked back and he got a little more, I don't know, I'm the man, right? I'm the man. When he first came in there after they bought him from Bakersfield, humble. Yeah. And I just thought like he kind of got, I don't know, comfortable maybe, or thought like, he was the guy. When at the end of the day, when you have 97 and 29 and you're not making adjustments to make them better, you can't get rid of the whole team. I'm sure there's guys like Kenny Holland would love to trade, right? If he could trade half his team right now, I'm sure he would. It comes down to the coaches. It's the business we live in. I wish Jay Woodcroft all the best, but I think it was the right call. I would have brought in, Paul Coffey, who's a guy that, they brought in to run the D, who I know you love. I just wanted to bring in an ex-Oiler. I guess they did that with him. But what were your thoughts on Woodcroft and Manson?
Yeah, well, this, it should be said right off the hop, this is McDavid's now his fifth coach since 2015.
Yeah, 5 and 8 years.
Todd McClellan, Hitchcock, Dave Tippett, Woodcroft. Now, one from the outside looking in would think, do they need a hard ass? Do they need like a Brent Sutter? Do they need, a Daryl Sutter? Do they need one of the Sutter brothers who are, whatever. They've had Hitch, so they know, one end of the spectrum of having like a guy's guy or a player's guy or a guy that's coming up from the minors that has something to prove. Now, I look at the Jay Woodcroft thing, and yes, he came in very humble. I like the guy. But you deal with Edmonton media for 2 years. You deal with these playoff runs where, the whole world stops to watch just you. And all of a sudden you become, we have had disappointing finishes. We can't get by Vegas. We can't get by Colorado. What needs to change? And unfortunately, you can't change much because you have no cap room. You have no chance of changing arsenal that, makes your team better. You have to deal with the cards that are dealt. Now, I don't know. I don't think Kenny Holland is, sitting back making the calls on this, Obi, much. I don't know. I think, the new CEO, Jeff Jackson, I think, even we watched that press conference over the weekend. Kenny Holland looked weird, for once he didn't sleep. He looked like he was. He looked like he was in one.
Yeah, he's
like
in
one. I'd never seen Kenny Holland look like that actually.
Yeah, who looked worse, him or me leaving Lupul's golf tournament in Edmonton? But yeah, Kenny looks weathered.
But think of it like just this. I don't know. Dog days, we're not even here yet. We talk about that.
Yeah. They're there.
If this is in February and you're dealing with this, but this is in November. No one wanted to ever talk about the Oilers being 15 points back of, the Vancouver spot. Canucks or whatever. I think Jeff Jackson, and history being his, ties to Connor McDavid, wanting to keep Connor in Edmonton, wanting to make this team still beat around Connor McDavid, he probably had a lot to say. He probably had a lot to say, whether he had conversations with Connor, Leon, the leaders about, the direction this team needs to go in order to save the season. Those conversations had to have been had.
100%.
There's no way you don't go to your 2-3 best players and say, like, guys, if we don't win the next 10, if we don't go on a nice streak here. We're done.
Yeah, it looked
and then
like
I got to blow this thing up.
Yeah, it looked
so what
like
do we need?
It looked like two guys that went on a trip together that were trying to get their story straight what to tell their wives. They're like, hey, Kenny, remember we said we didn't go to Hooters for chicken wings, but get it together.
Totally.
Like Kenny said,
don't blow this for me.
Kenny said one thing, and then Jeff Jackson, who, I should have known this. I have a podcast with you, but like didn't know that he was Connor's old agent that now works for the team. But listen, bottom line is, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have to be on these conversations.
Yeah,
right.
This is their team.
They're two best players in the world. Any team, Jack Eichel in Vegas, Stone in Vegas, got to be on these. If I was a GM, I would have my star players. I'd have a lot of my players coming in and asking them what they think. So for Jeff Jackson to try to say Connor doesn't care, I think he's trying to protect his old client and protect Connor. That like, right? He's just here to play hockey. All those cliches, which Connor just wants to focus on hockey. But when you're picked to win the Stanley Cup and you are second last in the Western Conference, it had to be changed. I think Connor was in on it. And listen, I love Kenny Holland. I respect everything he did as a Detroit Red Wing and all the Stanley Cups he have as a guy sitting here with no rings. But at the end of the day, it's on Kenny a bit too. Listen, he tried with Jack Campbell. That didn't work out. And I think that right there is the biggest thing that's hurt them, right? And I like Jack Campbell, but they thought they had their goalie. They thought he'd come in and give him 5 for 25, and they, we all know what's happened to Jack. He's down in the jungle now, and Stuart Skinner caught lightning in the bottle last year, but you saw in playoffs he wasn't the guy. And then you got Darnell Nurse. Listen, guy plays hard, chucks him. I like that about him. He's making too much money. But once again, you brought up the salary cap, and we talk about a luxury tax here on Missin Curfew all the time. You don't think Kenny Holland would like to shake the deck a little bit right now, but just can't because he's handcuffed because of the stupid hard cap? Like, he can't make a trade. The worst team in the league right now with the highest expectations can't make a move. Now, maybe nobody wants some of these guys on his team. I believe, but I just feel bad that he can't make a hockey move right now because I believe he's so up against the cap with so many bad contracts that he's just in one.
I think that the NHL and NHLPA should sit down in the next Board of Governors meeting and discuss how to give these teams these like Joker cards or like Spumoni cards.
Spumoni.
Where they have one chance every year. They have one chance to go, this guy's making too much money. Yeah. I signed him to a bad deal. I need to cut this.
Help.
This is my Spumoni card. Help me. I want, go back to jail card, get out of jail free. And then you still pay the guy his money. The NHL is going to protect the players from that. But there's got to be a way you pay the luxury tax back into the league and it comes off your cap. You could use it once every couple of years. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or you give up a draft pick. Like, do you think they would just go, I'll give up a second round pick right now if we can turn Nurse's $9 million cap into $5 million?
They might give up.
A draft pick back.
They might give more than that. Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? But find a way to not handcuff all these teams into not being able to make deals I don't care about not making deals. All I care about is having the two best players in the world stuck in Edmonton with these bad contracts surrounding their team and them not getting better. That to me is heartbreaking. It sucks.
Well, you might not have to worry about that here much longer.
I know, but I do because it's 2 more years of Connor there. It's another year.
Well, Leon's got 1 more year left after this. So if things, let's say they
wanted to work out there.
Yeah, no,
they're handcuffed.
Let's say they miss the playoffs this year, which I don't know if they're going to make it or not. I need to see them play under Chris Knobloch, who I thought when I first saw it reminded me of Chuck Knobloch, the old second baseman. Right? I couldn't make the throw from second to first. Old Chucky, you're DH tonight. But listen, you can't. They're in their prime of their careers, and I love Edmonton Oilers fans. We wouldn't have this podcast without Oilers fans. We go up there; they're great to us. I love the new rink. I love everything about the Edmonton Oilers fan base. But at the end of the day, these guys, come on, we can't continue going down this road, right? And after this year, Leon will have 1 year left. We'll see what happens. But it's
like so.
I don't know, man.
When you say it kind of falls on Kenny Holland, it does, but. You look at Bouchard.
Not Jack Campbell thing.
Jack Campbell, yes.
Yeah, it hurts.
Bouchard, you turn him into this number 1 D. He's got a great shot. He's a world-class shot. He's playing on the best power play ever invented. He hasn't gotten any better. He hasn't shown the next step. So who does that fall on? Does that fall on the coach? Does that fall on his teammates? Does that fall on him?
I mean, you could put that on Manson, right? He's a D coach. He's trying to make him better. I know. For me, a guy by the name of Brad Shaw, I had in Cincinnati.
Yeah, Brad Shaw. He turned me into a PK.
Yeah, Shawzy made me so much better defensively.
Totally,
people probably find this hard to believe, but when I came out of the OHL, I was like offensive guy that jumped in the play and he's like fella taught me how to play. You can learn how to play defense. So I don't know if I could put on Dave Manson or I put on Bouchard's give a fuck level. Like it's not. There's no secret to playing defense or becoming a PK guy. Do the right things, pay attention to details, pay the price. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Listen, to me, I still don't.
Kulak, CC, these guys, they haven't gotten any better. They're D are terrible. Ekholm, I love that. Like Ekholm played so hard against me my whole career. He was such a force, but he hasn't been able to find his niche there really either.
Well, either would you if you're playing with Bouchard the whole time.
Totally. But I'm just saying, their D stink.
Yeah, I mean, I would get Bouchard away from Ekholm. I mean, I would go Ekholm or CC. Yeah. Desharnais not the guy, which I thought he was. He's not quite ready. His boots aren't quick enough. But speaking of Chris Knobloch here, the new head coach that came in from Hartford, Coach Connor. So last night they played good. They played with some better pace last night,
as expected.
And I'm sure that was just once Jay got fired, they're like, okay, at least that's over. At least we don't have to worry about if we're gonna get this guy fired. He's gone, right? You take a deep breath, almost like, okay, it's a new day. Knobloch went with McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, and your boy Sam Gagner, Kane, Draisaitl, Hyman. I thought that was a pretty good mix of the top two lines there. I think having Nugent-Hopkins play the wing, and then Gagner's a nice fit up there right now, and I thought Kane looked good with Draisaitl last night. But I'm with you, Coff. I love Paul Coffey. I'm glad he's in on going to be running the D. But it's starting. I think it's time you got to start mixing, matching some of those guys back there and just changing something up.
Yeah. Well said.
But time will tell.
By the way, Paul Coffey, legendary player, unbelievable. But if you thought he was a good hockey player, he is even better as a guy. I know he's going to do great with that young, with the young group of guys they have. He can go to him for anything. So I think that's a great move. Kenny Holland did the right thing there, just saying, Paul, go in there, help this room, mentor this room, get them off the ledge.
Yeah,
and just let's go.
I actually, first of all, Koff had an unbelievable suit on first night. Nice little blue with a nice little, good orange colored tie and a white shirt. So, Koff, you looked unbelievable back there. Nice tan somehow living in Edmonton. I actually said to Cooley and the boys on the NHL XM radio when I found out Woodcroft was fired, I said they should hire Paul Coffey as the interim head coach. I thought I wouldn't have been in a hurry to bring in. Now you got another, and I don't know Chris Knobloch from, whoever, from Jay Woodcroft before they hired him. So maybe this is the guy, but. And you question maybe the X's and O's of Paul Coffey, but you can bring somebody, you can hire guys around him to help with that. But I would have just brought in, and he's working the D, so he's in the room. They did what I want, but to have an ex-Oiler in there that won the championships, that bled the orange and blue, that played with Gretz and Mess. I would have called Gretzky and been like, I know you got a cushy deal at TNT there, but I'll take you for the rest of the year. Yeah. And Gretz probably would have said, no, thank you. I'm going to play the Grove and do my TNT hit, and I don't blame you, Gretz. But just bringing some old Oilers in there, old Oilers.
Listen, I like where your head's at, and look at what Montreal did with Martin St. Louis. I love that.
Yeah,
he's not that far from the game. Yeah. Does Stoley want a fucking job?
Stoley, babe. Stoley's not moving.
Do you want a job? I know you got to go up to Edmonton again, but he's been involved around teams. He's seen the LA Kings get out of the funk and be a championship team. He's been on championship teams. He played for the Oilers, went to a Stanley Cup final.
Excuse me.
Stoley.
I thought about guys like Ethan Morrow. Where's he?
Yeah.
Jason Smith.
Totally.
Bring those guys in and just build that culture back around these guys.
I know. It was such a great
Because listen,
culture.
X's and O's are important, Ups. But listen, we get the game film every fucking night. You come in, they're doing the 2-1-2-4 check. Got it. This is what they do for the PIP breakout. Got it. Now, in-game adjustments on the bench is something that I think takes time to learn. But when you have the two best players in the planet, I don't know. And I know you are too, a big believer in dressing room and having good guys around.
I was just gonna say, let's just worry about what we're gonna do off the ice to get these guys together again,
right?
To
bring
get the
some
noise away and just get them having fun and doing their thing and showing up to the rink and having a smile on their face and being in the NHL, making big money. Totally.
And now almost. If I was in there, and maybe Koff is saying this, you know better than me.
Oh, he is.
The pressure's almost off. Now it's boys, no one expects you to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now we got nothing to lose almost. Let's go. Let's rally, right? I maybe not, everyone's not expecting to make the playoffs. The fans in Edmonton are. But you know what I mean? Ups, totally. The pressure of them being Stanley Cup contenders, nobody believes they're going to win the Stanley Cup right now.
No.
Not one guy.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. But in that dressing room, maybe they do.
I still picked them on your show, Power Play. 2 weeks ago, I still had them.
Yeah.
But then I was like, then they cost me so much money. I said, this is done.
Yeah. Me too, buddy. I said to you, Uppy, we got to take them again. And then I took them in Nashville. That was their first home win last night.
That's insane.
Last year when you went into Rexall, what's it called? Rogers Arena, it was a loss.
Yeah, point night for them.
But if you want to talk about gambling if they get hot here, and I'm going to be watching their every game, and last night was a step in the right direction, but if they get going, full throttle. We start hammering the oil. Hammer the oil.
I would love to be part of a world where I could start hammering the oil.
Yeah.
And winning. That would be great.
Yeah.
It would be great for TV.
Yeah. And I don't know Connor, and listen, I'm not living in Edmonton, but he's making, what is he making? 12? What's he making?
12 and a half.
12 and a half. I know he hasn't won a cup. I know all the other guys have, and I don't know him like you know him, but smile, Connor. I know it's hard right now, but like even his interview, like I get that he's not the world's best talker who wants to talk, and I don't know what he is off camera, but when I see him on camera, I'd like to see him just try to bring a little more. Like I guess winning will do that, but I don't know. I guess that might be too much to ask. What do you think about that?
No, totally, you're right. You don't want to tell these guys to change who they are, and he takes this to heart. You know that, but at the same time, like. You are the face of this organization.
Yeah, you're the best player on the planet.
Do you want to be a face that's smiling, or do you want to be a face that's like?
Yeah, think about the kid who grew up in Ontario. I think he's a Toronto boy.
Think about all the young kids watching you. Like, we're all upset. The old crusty guys like us, we're upset because we're losing money. But the young kids, who watch you on TV,
smile,
and who listen to you talk. Smile.
Yeah,
I agree. But I'm not saying
and you know him. You know him. I don't know him. I've never met him. But and you're about to listen. You're going to win one, Connor. You're too good a player not to win one. I know you want to win one now, and you want to win one for the city of Edmonton. I respect that. But you're also going to become the highest paid player here in 3 years too. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's.
Yeah.
I don't know. Life's not that bad, is what I'm saying.
No.
Losing sucks, but.
Yeah.
I hope they turn it around. To the Oilers fans out there, we love your support at Missin Curfew, and when they do turn it around, up dog, we hammer them.